Hey everybody, it's Steve with Sky194, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to stop in and visit and check out my video. And we are here at Oulton Park, and I'm doing a setup here for the Lamborghini Huracan EVO. Excuse me. And before we get started, just a little context before we get going here. They had in the U.S. competition server the other night. They had a race here, and I was in the Huracan, and I qualified on pole with a 134.666, I think it was, and it was decent setup, but it wasn't completely, what should I say, finished. It was roughed in really good, but especially on the suspension part, I had the balance pretty good, but the suspension part really was just very lightly roughed in because it was taking the bumps really harsh. This place, that's another challenge here, is not just the competition, but the track, because the track has got probably in my opinion, one of the bumpiest tracks in ACC, or out of all these tracks. So again, that's fighting you, and of course you got the curbs here and there, which are at any place, but you take that with all the bumps, and that can upset the car. So not having the suspension really dialed in better was kind of a bad thing, because I ended up wrecking, and mainly just hitting the curb kind of hard, and it ended up losing it and wrecking it. And then and I can show you which curbs is that. I'll show you the curbs. It's easier just to show them to you when we're going through the video, because I don't know the names of the turns. So but they weren't even that bad, the curbs, but it's just the car was a little off, as far as a little bit too stiff, and things like that, and it ended up upsetting it to where it caused me to lose control. So I came back and spent some more time on it, and I like it where it's at now. A lot more raceable. And I remember, this is like a race pace. I know this. I could go faster qualifying. If I put a low fuel load, and this is just my opinion. I mean, I'm not the greatest here at Oulton Park. This is my disclaimer. But I'm decent, and like I said, my race pace is different than when I'm trying to qualify. Because when I'm trying to qualify, I'm putting out 110%. I mean, I'm really risking it. That's why a lot of times I probably don't do good qualifying. But I'm really trying to push for everything I can get. Plus, you're on a light fuel load, so everything's happening a little faster. So that's what I try to do, because I don't care about the tires. They're totally irrelevant. Race pace is a little bit different. I mean, yeah, I'm pushing hard, but there is a little bit back, because I'm not wanting to destroy the tires, or slide them or do this and that. So, because I know that I got to do lap after lap after lap. So again, I knock it down, maybe a notch. So again, it just all, this is more of a race pace, because I started with 84 liters, because that's what I had for the race, was 84 liters. So you can see right now I have 78. So again, this is just a few laps in. So we'll go ahead and start behind the car, and you can kind of see where my lines are. And again, I'm not saying there aren't better lines. It's just the way I do it. So we're getting ready to go down the front straightaway. There's a really bad bump here. Right there. Here. Right when this line is going dim like this, you see how the line here is all worn off. So basically right past where it starts doing that is usually where I'm on the brakes. Cut it inside here. You want to be careful here, because this curb is very upsetting. If you barely touch it, you're fine, but you want to pretty much stay away. If you really run over it, it's going to upset the car. You're not going to lose control or anything, but you'll lose time. Here, run it out a little bit over that. It's fine. This is really bumpy through here, and I've seen a lot of different lines going through here. So again, you do what's best for you. I usually just try to hold it tight through here, because it seems to be the smoothest. And because if you try to run it out wide, it seems like I always end up running wide, and the bumps and all that are upsetting the car so bad that you just can't be consistent with it. So I kind of just hold it tight, because it's the smoothest through there, and then just let it run out wide there. But I don't see no sparks or anything like that, so that's good. It's going to bounce. And here, Now, again, these are not the perfect laps, okay? So, again, there is definitely more time in this car because these are not perfect laps. Again, here, going through here, I'm not attacking it as hard as I could be. But, again, I'm just going through here at a good pace, especially this corner. Again, you know, I pass that orange right between the two oranges here. Usually before I get to this orange or this guy here, I'm on the brakes. Sometimes I'm getting closer up when I'm really pushing hard or maybe a lighter fuel load. I will go in deeper. And there's a couple different ways you can do this. Really, the best way, and again, you can see how I'm probably braking a little early, but the best way is to carry so much speed that you're braking going into the corner, and even if you double apex it and come off, you're fine as long as you keep the momentum up. So that's all right. And you can even trail brake and keep the brakes going through the apex almost of this whole turn. So again, I'm really kind of braking early and not attacking this turn the way I should. So you see I'm actually off the brakes, and I could have been on them all the way. I needed to be going in deeper. Okay, going up through here, right? This little concrete thing here on the side, that's what my brake marker is. And again, a couple times I ran over this little curb here on the end, which it didn't upset the car, but I just don't usually try to because over a race, it just usually ends up upsetting your tire pressures, and it's just not worth it. You know, I try to go for a fast reacting car, and that's another thing. This turn here is very important because you can either gain or lose a lot of time. So again, you know, I have my steering ratio all the way down. You do what's best for you, but you have to be able to change directions like on a nanosecond. You can't be slow going through here or you will lose a half a second so easy. It's ridiculous. So you have to go through here and be able to go left, right, like almost like flipping a switch without upsetting the car. But you got to be able to. You can't you know, if you turn in your wheel halfway around, it's just going to take too long. So again, you just keep that in mind to have your steering as quick as you can. You know, as quick as you can stand it. Me, I like it super fast, and I have it all the way down. So I can't get it really any better. But I go through here, and you see, I think I hit the edge of the curb, but I've run over it a couple times, and it's all right, but it doesn't really gain anything, and to me, in a race, you just lose pressures. But it goes through here really well now. I mean, it goes through here, I come on the inside. Now, in the race, the competition server race, I hit this curb kind of hard, which really wasn't that big a deal. I didn't really hit it that hard, but I just ran over it, and it upset the car, and I crashed over here to the left. And I mean, and that was really a nothing, you know, and that's why the car was just, it was too stiff. You see, I run right over it. No, I mean, not even an issue. So then come down here, and I actually go past the one. I mean, I'm between the one and these brown spots here. You see that brown? I mean, I'm in the car. I'm looking at this brown spot, but it's before the brown spot. So I'm actually pretty deep on the brakes, but it's really important to be strong through here because this is a perfect passing zone. So you got to be good going into this corner, or somebody will outbrake you. If they're right by you, they'll just outbrake you. And I mean, it takes it perfect. Go hold it to the inside there, hold it close there. Now you can see that little. I hope everybody can see it, but I've showed this on every video I do. And there's a little dip in the road right here on the left. You can see the little dip indentation. That's what I always have used for a marker, and basically I just go at that. And you know, every car's a little different. Sometimes you turn a little bit by that or after it, but you can use it as a judgment for where you need to turn going back right. And you know, Lamborghini, I think it's just you just go by it, and then I basically turn in. And see, that way you know you're going to miss this curb. You can touch it, but there's a it will upset the car if you run over it too much. So again, be careful of that. Same with that one, but it's a lot better than it was. Like I said, it was different the car, the worse it is. And again, coming up here, a lot of different lines going up through here. So you do what's best for you. But basically, it seems like every time I try to do a late apex through here, or like that, it ends up running wide, and I end up messing up. So I basically just turn this one corner in tight and just hold it and let it drift and come back. and just stay close to the, just hold it and snug it up, and that's pretty much it. I use the Sunoco sign around here, or past this. I guess you could say this big tree. If this thing's gone, a lot of people for some reason hit this thing, so you want to have a backup, but it's past that big tree. You see, I hold it real close, and just keep it close. It drifts out a little bit wide, which is fine because then you get a good good angle coming in on here at the apex, and hold it. Now I hit that curb too, that curb there, and it ended up wrecking me. And I've hit the curb with this a couple times now, and it's fine. Yeah, you lose some time, but it doesn't wreck you. Go through here. Now you can get 4th or 5th, whichever you think is best, but basically right up to the marker here, all the way up to it. I mean, you're actually look like you're in the car. You look like you're actually going by it. So it's all the way up to that marker. Again, there's a dip. See that dip right here? You want to be careful of that because that can upset the car. So you don't want to hug this thing super tight. It'll mess you up. So this is about as tight as you want to be, is right there. Run it out wide. And, I didn't even open it up, but you just open this, get it straight, and open it up as quick as you can, and so you can be on the gas. Even if you run over this curbing here a little bit or whatever, it ain't no big deal because you want to keep your momentum up. So again, there's time to be had here for sure. This is not by far a perfect lap. Like I said, you can see I have a good amount of fuel. That was a 135.07. And like I said, tires are still, basically it's just like the 2nd or 3rd lap, so they're just probably now up to temp. But I'm definitely not braking and not going in there, attacking it strong enough. So there's probably another 10th to be had in that whole section right there. I was actually the only Huracan in that race. Everybody else was in something different, so obviously a lot of people don't like it there. Which I thought it was doing really well. Like I said, I was on pole, so I had decent pace, but the problem was I just wasn't different. You can do a lap. I could do a lap or whatever, but you couldn't do lap after lap. Again, it's too hard to not driver friendly, so to speak. And that's I like having driver friendly because otherwise, it limits who can use it. So that was a 134.84. So again, that's more like what it should be. Now I remember I qualified at a 134.66. So that's only 0.2 off, and I was running real low fuel. And here I have 70 something liters. So again, this thing should run lower 34s with no problem. At all, especially depending upon the conditions. If it's cool and qualifying and all that, it should be under mids. It should be 34 threes, 34 fours, because I could run faster than this even with this. I had faster in my delta by a 10th or 2. So it should definitely be quicker in a qualifying setup. It should be definitely faster than that. So I think that's pretty decent. So again, we'll go over to setup. And I ran like 7 or 8 laps and that at one stint, and the car is solid. It's more me. It's the car is doing the same times every time. Low 35s or high 34s. It's doing the same thing every time. It's just depending on how much do I want to attack, how much do I mess this little turn up, or it's on me. But the car is extremely consistent, so I'm really happy with that. Left sides are 25.8, right sides are 26 as far as the tires. The toe on the front is a negative 0.04 with the camber at negative 3.6 and the caster at 10.2. The toe on the rear is a positive 0.12 with the camber at negative 3. This here is yeah, about the same. I don't think I changed much from the race, really. I think everything's just about the same as far as that goes. Electronics are 3 and 4. Now, here's another section that you might be able to gain time. But again, I didn't have it on. I call it kill mode because I was just wanting to find a good average race pace. This is 3 and 4. Now, you could go down 1 on each of these. You could go down to 2 and 3. So again, but I was being, on the conservative side because again, like I said, it's race pace. So that, just take that into consideration. Fuel, of course, like I said, I had 84 liters. And you can see I had light graining on the front, but that's it. And the wear is extremely good. I mean, it doesn't get really any better than that. It's even front to rear. So I don't see any issues. And all the ones I've done, it either has light graining or nothing. So it's very good wear. Mechanical, got 3 on the anti-roll bar, 54 on the brake bias. Steering's all the way down. And again, the brake bias, I would turn this down to 53 pretty quick. Probably within the first few laps, I would turn it down to 53 to get the brakes even more involved and balanced. But, again, I had it turned up just for safety's sake, not to push too hard and have a lockup or this or that. Springs on the front are 167,000 with a bump stop rate of 800 and a bump stop range of 4. And the springs on the rear are 154,000 with a bump stop rate of 600 and a bump stop range of 15. The anti-roll bar is 6 and the preload on the diff is 90. Now, here is a lot of things are different. So here, the anti-roll bar, I think I did loosened up just a little bit to help, over the bumps and turn on some of these slower corners, help the car turn. Springs, now that's the big one. The springs on the front I had on the race at 190,000. That was too stiff. That's what I did the race, qualified and raced with, and it was just too stiff. The car in the front is just bouncing around too much. And again, you hit a curb, you end up crashing a lot of times. So again, that's just too stiff. The springs in the rear, now this is a little bit different because the springs in the rear, I had these in qualifying when I did the 134.66 because I had a light fuel load. So I figured, well, I'll go with a little bit weaker spring to help out, with that. And it seemed, but then I decided to go up 1 click because, you're carrying 84 liters. But I don't think that helped. I think that might have hurt. So actually, I think it surely didn't make, it with the stiff front and stiff rear, it just made it more of a, bad combination. So I left these at the same spring that I had in qualifying, but I didn't have this in the race. So again, I think it works really well. And then the bump stops, the rates and ranges are all different. I completely changed. I went through a lot of testing with the rates. The rates were super soft. Okay, I was running way softer rates. And it seemed like the car was bouncing too much. Kind of like it did, and if you've seen the video with the AMG at Mount Panorama, it's the same kind of thing. I mean, it seemed like it was bouncing too much and upsetting the car too much. So I actually stiffened the rates and closed up the ranges. And it's obviously you still have bumps. You can't get rid of those, but it seems like it's more controllable and it doesn't upset the car to where you're fighting the car. You just go through the bump and keep going. So again, I think this is a lot better combination. As far as the anti-roll bar in the diff, yes, I think I gave it more another click of each, just to keep the some of these slower corners. I want to get on the gas as early as I can, and I just want it to dig and go. I don't want it to have to counter steer it or do any kind of crazy stuff. So basically, that's why I added one. And of course, that fast left-hander is mainly for that, and some of these little sweeper turns I needed the anti-roll bar, especially since you increase the diff. Shocks, we got 8, 1, 13, and 3, and on the rear it's 5, 1, 10, 2. So again, nothing out of the ordinary. They're pretty soft, probably because I got the bump stops so pretty stiff and closed up. But again, it's tuned into that. So, which we can take a quick look at Motec. Yeah, it's on that one. So again, you're going to get a lot of ups and downs because there's so many bumps in this place. And of course, I did make a few clicks adjustments after this, so hopefully it's a little better than what you see here. But basically, it's close. As close as you can get. It's still a little over in certain places. Like 51 here, or a little low in other places. But I mean, basically, again, that's things that you can't always have it perfect. You just get it as close as you can and go from there. Especially a place like this. It's not like you have smooth roads that are smooth track that you're sitting there just a few little bumps here and there. This place you're constantly bouncing up and down, so that's why you have this situation. So, but I just wanted to show you that I am using it. It's just you're not taking just my word for it. But again, it's tuned in the best I can. But I think it's a lot. Again, I've made a lot of adjustments since that race, since the U.S. competition server race. So again, it's definitely a lot better as far as soaking up the bumps. In the ride height, we got 57 in the front, 61 in the rear with an 8 wing and a 4 and a 4 and a brake ducts. And the front aero variation is a positive 3.9. Now here, the balance is a little bit different because I had more wing in the race. So I had more wing in the race, and I had a little bit more ride height in the race. The front's the same. So again, my suggestion, if you think the car rotates too much or the back end, you need a little bit more understeery type thing for confidence, or to keep a hold of it, just go up on the wing 1. You're not going to lose that much because obviously this track, there's no high speeds, so it's not like you're going to lose that much. Matter of fact, qualifying, I ran more wing. I ran a lot more wing in qualifying. So again, you just got to push it harder. You got to push it through the corners harder and things like that. So that's your choice. But if you want to, you can go up 1 or 2 and go up 1 in that. So that's what I would do, and try that and leave everything else the same. So again, it gives you another opportunity. Let's say the track is green. Let's say it's green or fast, or maybe you have some rain coming. Off and on. It's dry and it's wet. Okay, so let's just take that for an example. What I would do is I would go up to a 10 wing and probably go up 1 in the rear ride height, and that's it. That's all I would do. I wouldn't do anything else. I wouldn't change anything else. I wouldn't change, as long as it wasn't a full rain event, like a flooding rain event. I mean, if it was just a rain here, the track got wet and you had to put wets on it or whatever, I'd leave everything else the same. This thing will work fine in the rain, a normal light rain type thing. But that way you could, again, change the setup to make this not just one setup. You can make it a couple setups. Or, like I said, maybe the track's green and it doesn't have a lot of grip, or just got done raining and it's kind of damp, but it's going to dry out. You might want to go with a situation like this. Go up 1 in the rear and go up to like a 10, and that way you have more grip in the back of the car, and the car will still run fine. It'll run really good. A little bit, different characteristics, but the back end will stay behind you. But again, that's your choice. Just suggestions. Again, this is for an optimum track and mid-20s track temperature. But again, I think it's a solid setup with a little variations. You can make it fit different track conditions. So I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy it. I appreciate any support. A like and subscribing makes a big difference with my little channel. Since I'm so small, everybody that does that or comments, all those things, it really helps, or shares it, especially shares it to a lot of people in the community don't know. So I really appreciate that. And of course, I do have a PayPal account if you want to help support the channel that way also. Everything's I really appreciate it. And of course, a link of this setup will be in the description, like all my setups. The links are always in the description. And I sure hope you enjoyed the video and you come back and visit again. Y'all take care. See ya.